Welcome to the new change in the map. This episode does have some new updates, but also updates on a couple of things that I've missed. So back in episode 12 from 2021, I mentioned that an International Court of Justice case opened up over a dispute between Gabon and Equatorial Guinea over its maritime border, and that included a few small islands. Finally, 4 years later in 2025, a ruling was made. Apparently, it was back in May, and I missed it not only because it wasn't breaking news or anything, but also it happened near the time of the Chagos Islands deal, which was a much bigger transfer of islands that caught my attention. Or at least plans of a transfer. That bill is making its way through as slow as possible. For these tiny African islands, the ICJ ruled that the disputed islands in question belonged to Equatorial Guinea, when they had been occupied by Gabon by force in 1972. So it's a small change in the map, but a change nonetheless. For something I sort of missed, in 2023 the Dutch and French halves of St. Martin standardized their border. In theory, there were tiny amounts of land transfers, but since the border was never finalized until now, it's hard to map out. Even looking at older maps, the border was never quite consistent. Although, apparently a hotel did switch from the Dutch side to the French side near Oyster Pond, which is now divided down the middle instead of mostly on the Dutch side. Although that maritime boundary was established years earlier in a 2016 agreement. So I hesitated making an episode on it when there was so little to go off of, so there you go. I was only 2 years late. Also, on a random note, remember all the way back in episode 5 in 2018, the episode about East Island and the Hawaiian Islands being destroyed by a hurricane? Well, apparently, as of late 2024, various sediments collected back at the area, and so East Island is back, although only 2/3 of its former size, and not too much higher than sea level, making it still more vulnerable than it was before. But that's still pretty cool. An island got destroyed and now it's back. Kind of. Then for a final note, on August 8th, 2025, Armenia and Azerbaijan signed an agreement to work towards ending the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict once and for all. This process is still ongoing, but they did note the plans for a sort of corridor to connect Nakhchivan and the rest of Azerbaijan. While it's probably not going to be an outright territorial corridor, it is technically up in the air at the moment, so who knows where it'll end up or if there'll be any more territorial changes, but it'll be something to look out for. And that'll conclude this brief but eventful episode of New Change in the Map. Thanks to everyone who continues to watch and support this channel to keep it going, especially to all of my Patreon supporters and channel members who get to see videos early. I'm Emperor Tiger Star, and I'll see you guys next time.